What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to part 4 of the Getting Started with React series. In this part, we're going to be covering mapping components. So, basically what mapping helps us do is when we take in data, like large sets of data from APIs and databases, mapping essentially allows us to map that data in a quick way rather than having to kind of go through it one by one and do so. So for this part, I set up a kind of mock database. So I made this data.js file, which is going to be giving us this array of objects. Each object has a name and an email, and if you remember from last part, we created these card components which take in a name and an email. So we're basically going to map a bunch of card components with all of this data. So in a real world scenario, what would be happening is you would have an API that's feeding you all of this information. You're getting it from like a fetch call or something. But to kind of avoid complexity and keep it simple for you guys, I just made this file. I will upload it. I'll push it to GitHub and leave a link in the description so you don't have to rewrite this all if you do want to try it out. And yeah, so let's get started. The first thing to do is go over to your app.jsx file, and we have this data, but we need to bring it into our React workflow. So we'll import it into our app.jsx, and the reason we're going to import it into our app is because this is where we're rendering out the components, right? So this is where we're going to need to put in that data. So we'll import data from. Oh, sorry, 1 second. We'll import data from the data.js file. So just /data. Because it's a JS file, we don't have to write the extension. So we're good to go here. And so now what we should probably do is, get started with mapping this. So to map this, what we need to write is we need to pick out what we want our mapped version of these cards. Like, what do we want to call that? And we'll just call it cards display. So let's just click that cards display. Cards display. Yeah, there we go. And so now what we can do is set this equal to data.map. So .map is basically just an array setting. An array method, data.map. And now this is kind of like a function. So what we'll do in here is we'll just we'll put in a pair of brackets. So this is the way data.map works. Is it's a function that takes in 2 parameters. It takes one parameter, and that is a function of what you want to do with that stuff. So we'll write it like this, and this is where we can make an arrow function here for simplicity. And so yeah, this is what it's going to look like. And now in here is where all of our JSX code is going to go, the JSX code that we want to render out here. So in the data.map, we will put in a word to kind of signify each piece of data. So what I mean by that is when it's going, data.map, what it does is it goes through this entire array in a loop. So it goes through each single object in the array, and it basically takes something out of there, and you pick what you want it to take out. So if for example, we're going to take out each person, right? Each of these values is a person. This person, their name is Toby, and their email is toby@yahoo.com. So in here we can write person. Now, this is really up to you. You can write whatever you want, but I think it's best to go off what makes the most sense, which in this case is person. So we can write person, and then we can start writing our card component. So basically this is going to be a loop. It's going to go through this data file. It's going to look at all of these objects. So first it'll go to John. It'll be like, okay, John is the person. So it'll basically take this entire object and make it person. So now we have to render out the card component. So what we can do is we can write card, and we can write the props. So name is equal to something, and email is equal to something. So let's just close this component. So now we need to fill in these values. What we can do is we can write the curly braces, because it's going to be JavaScript inside of this, and technically the inside of this map statement is going to be all JSX. So curly braces, and we're going to write person dot name. Now this should kind of be where everything kind of clicks. So as I said before, every time, like the data.map, what it's doing is it's going through the entire data array, which is right here, and then it's going into each object, and it's saving each object as person. So as soon as we write this down here, right, it's gonna run, and what it's gonna do, it's gonna go, okay, it's gonna go to the first array object, which is John. It's gonna go, okay, well, first I need to get the name out of John, so person.name would be John, and then it's going to go to the email, which is going to be person.email, and that's going to be john@yahoo.com. So this is going to run that, and then what it's going to do, it's going to go through, first it's going to go through John, then it's going to go through the next object, and the next object, and the next object. It's going to keep repeating and repeating and repeating until there is no objects left in the data array. So that is basically how this would work. It might be a little confusing. If you have any questions about it, leave them in the comments below. I'm really happy to help you out with that. But that's kind of how it's going to work. So now we're going to display this. So we're going to get rid of these two because we don't need them anymore. And we're going to write a pair of brackets because we're going to write JavaScript in here. And we're going to write cards display, which is what this is right here. And actually, what I've just realized is I didn't declare this as a variable, which it needs to be. So we can just write let cards display. That's my mistake. So now if we went ahead and run this through npm start or yarn start if using yarn, error. Oh, it's because I'm in the tutorial directory, but I'm not in the app directory. So I have to enter that directory, and now it should work. There we go. So if we just let this load up, it should do its thing. Okay, did something happen? Yeah, it's starting. Nope, there we go. But yeah, so if we take a look at this right now, after it loads up, let's see. Essentially, what it should show us is a card component. This card component for every single person, every single object in the data array. So let this load up. And we're not getting anything. So let's check out the console and see why that is happening. Inspect. Or let's check out our code first. We're importing data.js, which is at the root level of source. App is there too. Import data from data. Let's card display data.map. Oh, it looks good to me. Let's check the console. Console's not saying anything either. That's weird. We're passing in the name prop. We're passing in the email prop. Data.map person. Okay guys, give me a second. I'm just gonna pause really quickly and figure out what's going on. Okay guys, I figured out the solution to the problem. Stupid mistake on my end. We don't need these brackets. Doesn't require us to have these. So if you just remove those, it should be good to go. Boom. There we go. Everything's rendering out just how we wanted it. So as you can see, each of these, this is the card component. And so, you know, when you really get a look at this, you can kind of see how powerful this can really be. You can use it like so much, especially when you're using APIs. This is like the most useful thing in the world. But yeah, this should really show you the power of React. Anyways, if we look at the console really quickly, we can see the little error that we're getting, which says each child in a list should have a unique key prop. So basically what that means is we should have props for each card component. So here we can just add on a key, and you can set it equal to anything that is unique for each object. So in most situations when you have data coming in from an API or a database, it's probably going to have an ID as well for each separate item, and that's what you can use as your key. In this case, we don't have that, so we'll just use the name because it's unique. So we just type in person.name, and now we let this load and take a look. The error is gone. That's just a build error. Don't ignore that. And yep, it's good to go. So essentially, what we've done in less than 11-12 minutes. I've showed you guys how to build out a full kind of display using the .map array function. Like, this is something that's really, really useful. And if you don't understand it, I highly recommend you guys tell me in the comments. I really don't mind helping you guys out if you have any problem with this. And yeah, that's going to be all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, if you liked the video, please subscribe. And leave a like down below as well. It really helps out the channel as we're trying to grow. And yeah, that's all. So I'll see you guys in the next time. Peace.